Hey, yo, what's up to everybody out there? Welcome to another edition of the Roundtable Talk. I am your host, C Money, and in today's episode, I am talking about a post that inspired by social media, and this is a social media, and I am going to probably get a lot of negativity on this, a lot of positivity on this. I think I'm going to get more positivity than negativity because, this is something that I've been seeing going around, and I've had people talk to me about it, and I've had talked to people about it, and we've had several conversations about it. And this is something that really it's disgusting me, and it's really like it's pissing me off to the point that it is really a shame on this. And what I'm talking about is there's a new age of dating, and there's a new age generation called YNs. If you don't know what YN means, it means youngins. And I think I talked about this in probably in like a few of my previous shows, previous episodes. I probably talked about this where um it's getting out of hand now these days for the dating scene. It's getting out of hand a lot. A lot of people have said that, because now they're considering over 40 as elderly. A lot of these youngins, which are what they call YNs, are considering these youngins. And if you don't know what YN is, it's the new term that they say for youngins, because I've seen it on social media and I had to look it up myself. And what it means is youngins. And a lot of these youngins are actually out here really looking at people of a certain age, looking at people over 40 as a certain age. Remember back in the 80s and 90s, everything that was over 50 was considered elderly. Now it's basically everything over 65. The retirement age I believe is at 65, or it might be a little bit higher, because at one point it was at 62, but I think it got risen up to 65, and it might be even higher now because of the cost of living and everything like that. It might be high. It might be at 70, depending on how it is. Because I think at one point they said they wanted to raise it to like 72 or something like that. But a lot of these youngins, and I've seen this on social media, they come around and they feel like everything over 40 is considered old. And I'm like, in what generation is everything considered 40 over old? Do you see all of these bodybuilders that are 50 and 60 years old still out here bodybuilding at 60 years old, eating healthy foods, you know, lifting 100, 200 pound weights and all of that stuff, and you think they're considered old? You have to realize something. Everybody aged differently in life. We all can't look like Chris Brown at 50 years old. We all can't look at Denzel Washington at 50. Because remember back then, who was the two main black actors that everybody fiend over? If you was a woman, you was drooling over Denzel Washington. If you was a man, you was drooling over who? Halle Berry. Because they was the two top people now. Now these days, they looking at Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion. They looking at Idris Elba, Michael B. Jordan. Back then it was all about Denzel Washington, Halle Berry. And in the, Caucasian community, you had what? You had several in the Caucasian. You had Brad Pitt and, George Clooney, who else? Val Kilmer, Michael Keaton. You had a lot of these. You had Madonna. You had a lot of these celebrities. But back then in the African American community, everybody mostly drooled over Denzel Washington, Halle Berry, because they was the go-to actors. And every time you tell them, "Ooh, I want a Halle Berry," now you got Lado and Lizzo and Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. You got, Caleb Pratt and Kiki Palmer, and you got all of these celebrities now, and they're considered YNs, but then you're not considering the people that are over 50 that still look good. Look how many people are. Denzel Washington still look good, and he's in what, 50s, 60s or whatever. Same thing. Lawrence Fishburne. You got a lot of these celebrities out here. Even Halle Berry at her age, she still looks good. You got a lot of these celebrities, and a lot of these kids think that because we're not supposed to be, a lot of these youngins, these YNs, thinking that we're not supposed to be trolling the dating scene. They don't want to see us, on these dating sites. They don't want to see us on Match.com, or they don't want to see us on Tinder or Snapchat. They think that this is their game, and they feel like after a certain age, you're supposed to go sit down and drink your prune juice and just call it a day. But you realize the modern of technology. And I tell people, half these people over 50 can still have sexual relations without even using medicine. Yeah, you get people out here that uses Viagra and these energy drinks and these, blue pills and all that to get their sexual stimulation a while. But then you also got people that's over 50 that don't even need these pills, that still can have sexual relations without using medicine, without using technology, without having surgery, without having this, without having that. And then they feel like, oh, excuse my language, but they feel like, oh, go sit your old ass down, Fred Sanford. Or go sit your old ass down, Harriet Tubman, and I'm like, y'all, and I don't know how y'all feel about this, but I really want to know what y'all feel about this, because I honestly feel like the dating game now is way much easier, but it's a little bit harder than it was back then. I say the reason why it's easier because now you have dating apps, you have dating, because back then, back in the 80s and 70s and 90s and stuff like that, a lot of people, they picked up, they used to go to the club, and then they'll sit in the club, buy a woman a drink, have a conversation. That might deal, I think, is the best option on meeting a person, because number one, you're not catfishing them, because now these days people can catfish you. They can send you a picture looking like Chris Brown, and you come out looking like Flavor Flav. Not saying, that, not trying to be, mean and nasty about it. Or you can come out looking like Medusa, but got a picture of Madonna on your profile. And I look at it as if y'all don't understand that the best option is to meet somebody. Because I have a friend that told me that they rather meet somebody in person than to meet them online. And I say, yeah, that is the original way of meeting somebody. Like you going to a club or something like that, or you meet somebody on the street, you see them walking and you stop in and have conversation. That's the best way of doing it, because you know what you're getting into. Not saying that it's the 100% best option, because they could be a crazy psychopath person, or they can be, because I've seen posts where they say you walk by 1 million people and don't know that half of them could be a serial killer, and you just don't know it. I've seen posts like that where you walk by hundreds and thousands of people every day, and you didn't realize 5 of them could be a serial killer, and you don't know it. Or 5 of them could be a drug addict or something like that, or be a murderer or be a criminal, and you don't know about it. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. You can walk by somebody that could be the best thing that could ever happen to you, but you don't know it because y'all just walking by each other. You walking down the street, they walking down the street, y'all pass each other, and then that could be your future husband, that could be your future wife, whatever. But a lot of these people feel like everything over a certain age shouldn't be trolling the internet looking for love. And I'm like, look how many websites they got. They got Christian Mingle, Match.com, they got websites for people over 50. Even Facebook done got into the dating game. You got Snapchat. Remember Moco Space back then used to be a site for people to look for somebody. Tinder used to be a good hookup spot. You got all of these sites that, is good for, looking for somebody. You got the BLK app now. You got a lot of things. Back then, we only had certain websites, I remember a website called College Club that used to be a site for meeting people. I remember Black Planet. It was another website for meeting people. Moco Space was one of the spots to meet people. MySpace was a good spot for dating people. And I look at it as if, yeah, it was a much easier time back then to communicate and talk to people, but it's a lot more better now because now you have apps. Back then you didn't have the option of, back then we didn't have smartphones where you can upload a photo and people can see you right up there. People had to meet you face to face, and if they didn't like you, they had because I'm one of them people that I don't like rejection as much as, because if somebody come up to me and they walk away and stuff like that, I'll feel some type of way, but that's, me, and stuff like that, and I don't too much like to reject people in a bad way. Like, there are people that come up to you and say, I'm not interested, get your ugly ass away from me, or they'll do it in a way that it's disrespectful. No, I will engage in conversation, but I'll tell you politely, I'm not interested. We can have good conversation right now, but at the same time, this is all it's going to be. I don't want to take it forward because I don't feel that, in my mind, that we are a compatibility. And I don't think a compatibility should be based off of, financial status, living arrangements, half these people, because, now these days now, everybody has a roommate. It's not too many people that can say they live on their own, especially in South Florida, without having to pay $1,000, $2,000 rent, and they living on their own with a job. They gonna have to have 3 or 4 jobs to be living on their own and stuff like that. I got a couple of friends right now that have to have roommates because they feel like the cost of living down here is ridiculous. But my thing is, you have to understand that the dating scene is not just for the youngins. And a lot of you young people come out here and y'all think that it's wrong for people of a certain age. What I considered old, anything over 65 is considered, to me, is considered old. What do you think is considered old? And not just the older people, the younger people. I want to know what y'all considered old, because I've seen a lot of people that came to me and told me about this, and I've seen it in my past experience. I've seen it as well too, because I'm over 40, and right now I'm not, I'm in a relationship. I have a girl and everything, so I'm cool, and my girl is younger than me, so I'm blessed. But I've seen a lot of where a lot of people are out here at the age of 50 and at the age of 60, they're looking for love, and it's like it's hard for them to find love because of the fact that people are out here thinking that, oh no, you 60 years old, what you out here looking for love? Just because I done been through life, that doesn't necessarily mean my life has to stop. Y'all think that anything out here should be at home, taking their medicine, drinking their prune juice, that they ain't supposed to be living their life. Y'all think they not supposed to be riding roller coasters at 50 years old. They not supposed to be getting on slingshots and being sling up in the air. You know how many 50 and 60-year-old be bungee jumping and skydiving and snorkeling and deep blue sea diving and all of that mess? You know how many 50 and 60-year-olds be doing all this extreme stuff? But us youngins will get out here and say, I ain't finna bungee jump. That's more like death. I ain't finna go skydiving and kill myself. I ain't finna go deep blue sea and down in the and under the water. I ain't finna get on one of these little sky coasters and it drop me down and stuff like that, like they have at Fun Spot. I ain't finna get on this, do this extreme stuff. But y'all downgrade and y'all disrespect the elderly for getting on the internet. You don't want to do that. And a lot of these elderly people, they got more stamina than you ever could think of. And some of them don't even, it's all about health, Like, I'm in my 40s and I still ride roller coasters and I still get on amusement park rides. You think because I'm 40 I'm not supposed to be getting on amusement rides? No. I'm going to live my life until I can live my life. Until my body tells me you cannot get on no more rides, that's when I'm going to stop. But my mind, like RK say, my mind is telling me yes, but my body is still telling me yes. Until my mind tell me no, and my body tell me no, cause my mind could tell me no, but my mind could tell me no, don't get on this ride. But my body say, oh yeah, you can get on it. You got you still got you ain't got no heart conditions or nothing. Get on the ride. So when both of them say yes or say no, if both of them say yes, I'm still getting on. If one of them say yes, I'm still getting on. If both of them say no, then that's when I know stop. Because I have that mentality. I'm still a person. You know, I done seen 60-year-olds get on roller coasters and be riding to the wheels fall off, and I'm like, I want to be like that at 60. But then you youngins come out here. Ooh, this old lady getting on the coaster. She don't need to be getting on the coaster. She need to sit her butt down somewhere. And I'm like, y'all really are trolling these elderly people and thinking that anything. And I've said this like before in my previous episodes and stuff. Y'all think of everything of a certain age because you know, I've been on the dating sites. I've been out there, and I've seen things, and I've seen people that'll say nobody over 25, nobody over 35, nobody over 30. And I've even seen the 30-year-olds that say I don't want nobody over 35, and they 38, 39 years old. And I'm like, so you looking for somebody younger than you, and you're about to reach 40, but at the same time you're sitting up here trying to make it to where you don't want to feel old. Like, and Aaliyah said age ain't nothing but a number. Because look at Leah. Even though Aaliyah was 17 years old when she was having relations with Kelly, allegedly, I look at it as if stop with the negativity of the elderly people. Because I always say this, and I say this to everybody. You are going to get my age, hopefully one day, by the grace of God. And when you do get my age, people are going to do you the same way you are doing the elderly people at a young age. Because I used to think like that before. I used to always think when I was younger, I didn't want to date nobody that was I only dated. I wanted to want somebody that was either 1 year older than me, 1 year younger than me, or the same age. That's it. And then as I got older, I'm like, I have to stop that mentality because a lot of the young people out here are so immature. Let me tell you something about these 20-year-olds. It's not like how it used to be in your 20s and back in the 50s and 60s when people graduate from college, graduate from high school, in a couple of months they go right after college. No. You got kids now, they taking gap years, they going to technical college. They just go out there and get a job. Half the kids, they finish high school and they don't even go to college. They just sit around the house and don't do nothing for a couple of years. You know, it's not like how back in the days in the 70s and 80s, kids, when they graduate from school in June, by August and September, they off to college. They going to University of New York, University of Miami, you know, California State University, Texas A&M and all that mess, Florida A&M, you know. They going off. Now these days the kids, oh, I'm glad to get out of high school. I ain't gotta go, you know, this and that, you know. I could take a couple of years off, or they go work at a burger restaurant and they comfortable, or they take some years off and doing all that. You know, Blackish did an episode about it when the son played by Marcus Scribbler wanted to take a gap year, and he was like, oh, I want to find myself, and a lot of these kids are doing that these days. And I'm like, it's not like back then. Dating back then was a lot more easier because not too many people cared about materialistic things. They didn't care about looks and money and cars and houses and stuff. Now everybody trying to wonder how much money is in your bank account, what kind of car you drive, you know, what you do for a living, what you do here, what is this, what is that, you know. And it's all about materialistic things now. Back then, we just wanted to see how you look. You know, if you didn't look like Medusa. You know, we didn't care if you worked at McDonald's flipping a burger. We didn't care if you was a bag boy at Winn-Dixie or Publix. We didn't care that you scanned the food at Publix and Target and Walmart. We didn't care that you was mopping the floors at a restaurant. We didn't care if you was the bus boy picking up the dishes at Chili's and TGI Fridays. We didn't care. We just knew that you had a job and you was making money and you can afford to take me out. Now, oh, you work at McDonald's? Oh, so you don't make much money. Oh, you're a bus boy at Chili's? Oh, you work at the Cheesecake Factory cleaning the bathrooms? Oh, you a janitor at the mall? Oh, they look at that, you know, like, oh, this is what you do. And I want to say, you know, don't knock it. Because remember, people used to frown back in the day. People used to frown on garbage man. Oh, you a garbage man? And you pick up garbage. But now you realize, look how much garbage men make. And they get benefits. Hey, you better jump on that. You know, a lot of them jobs that y'all frown on be good paying jobs back then, you never know what may happen. And I look at it as if it's the same thing with dating. Y'all look down at the people on dating, but like I say, a 40-year-old person can bring more to the table than a 30-year-old or a 20-year-old. And I'm going to tell you why. For a lot of you youngins, y'all listen to me. Y'all may not see this, but y'all need to listen to me. Number one, they're more mature on certain things because they have more mind setting and more knowledge of certain things. Y'all of these youngins ain't gonna have mind settings because now all 20-year-olds want to do is party. You see them in the clubs every day. They out there at all the little local events. Some of them be hanging on the corner. They be out there doing all this frivolous stuff. How many of you youngins you see now are going to college? And if they going to college, they going to college at a and I can say this, I went to college at a young age. I went to college at an older age. I went to college in my 20s. I went to college in my 30s. So I know how it feels. But at the same time, I feel like you're never too old to succeed. If you're a 90-year-old person and you going to college, I feel that you are accomplishing something, and I look at it as if don't never set yourself low. Don't ever think that you can't get on these sites looking for love because the youngins say that this is only for the youngins. Don't ever think that you can only be on Facebook at 20 and I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on a lot of these social media sites. That's where like I told you in my previous, one of my previous shows, this is where I get a lot of my inspiration for my episodes and a lot of inspiration for my topics because I get them through social media, and this was one of them. A lot of these people are shaming older people for dating these younger people. Look how many celebrities are dating youngins. Look how many of these old actors that are in their 60s dating somebody in their 30s and 20s because they are in love. And a lot of you feel like, oh, they doing it because she trying to grab a bag. No, it might be real love. There are people out there that are dating younger girls and guys for love. It ain't about, oh, because he rich and they want the money. No, they might be in love. You realize that, but a lot of people don't realize that because they feel like if it's wrong, that it's not right, that my mom not supposed to be out here on the dating scene with me and stuff like that. You can't stop your mother or daddy from loving and having fun. If my mama wanted to go out there and date and get on the dating scene, I can't stop her. My mom and dad have been separated since I was a little kid. If my dad's been out on the dating scene for years, I didn't stop my daddy from having fun and meeting women and things like that. And I'm not going to stop my mama if she do it. I just say bring the right one home and make sure that they treat you right. That's all I'm saying. But y'all look down at it as if, oh, these elderly people, oh, they need to stop. What do you consider elderly? You thinking 41-year-old women and men, is considered old. And I'm like, that's not the case. They're not old. They're middle age. Because remember when you was in church back in the 80s and 90s, they used to have this thing called young adult. And young adult used to be anything between 25 and 35, and that used to be at my mom's church. And anything middle age was considered anything in your 40s. And once you was 50, they used to call that what? Over the hill. But now in this day and time, because they always say the lifespan of a human being, a lot of people used to pass away in their 50s and 60s. You ain't had too many people that used to live to see their 80s and 90s. Like Marla Gibbs, she's in her 90s. She's in her early 90s, and I'm grateful that we still have her. Look at Betty White. Betty White was 99, I believe, when she passed away. And you feel like there's a lot of people that feel like they, are blessed to see that age, and they are. My mom is in her golden years, and I'm blessed to still have my mom, because my mom is older than my dad, and and I'm blessed to still have her because, and I'll tell a lot of these people, y'all got to be blessed to be 40 and 50, because a lot of these kids and a lot of these youngins, they are not here today. They're here today, gone tomorrow. And it's not because of violence. Things happen. People have medical conditions where they was born with a birth defect. Because I had two birth defects, and I'm still here today by the grace of God, and I'm blessed because the medicines and stuff like that. I had two birth defects. I'm not gonna go in deep into it, and even one of my brothers had birth defects. And it's birth defects, medicines. People was born with certain type of disease. People was born with a medical malfunction. People, develop a illness within time. Their bodies don't develop well, and there's things that happen to where you might die at 21, you might die at 35, you may die at 16 years old, you may die at 2 years old. And I look at it as if look how many these people out here that are blessed to live to see. There are people out here. When I was in high school, there was a girl. I don't remember her name. I don't remember who she was, and I know she was a Caucasian girl, and she had to walk around with them, them little crutches, not the regular crutches, but the crutches that have the little things that clamp onto your arms and stuff. I forgot what it is, because she had a disability, and to this day, I don't know if she's live and well today and stuff like that. And I'm hoping and praying that she is still living, because a lot of the people we know from high school, we don't know. We don't keep up with a lot of our high school students and stuff like that. And I'm like, with things, stuff like that. I dated a girl at one time that had sickle cell, and she had to be in and out of the hospital. And I look at it as if, yeah, I was young at the time, but I look at it as if you're blessed to see this age. I am blessed to see my age, and I'm blessed to be here because walking outside your house is a danger zone. Somebody can hit you with a car. A bullet could be flying from out of nowhere and could hit you in the throat or the neck or the stomach and just can instantly kill you. A bolt of lightning could strike down and hit you, and you could die instantly. A building or a plane can come crashing on you, and you can, it's things that happen. And then you sit up here and you talk about, why is this old man on here trying to look for love? Why is this old woman on here trying to find? Why is this cougar on here trying to find it? Because, they call older women that's looking for younger men cougars. And they call older men looking for a younger woman, they call them sugar daddies. But the definition of sugar daddies to most people is a man who looking for a youngin to take care of. And I'm like, no. Sugar daddies is what older men looking for a younger woman is, and a cougar is an older woman looking for a younger man. But at the same time, y'all look down at them because y'all feel like they shouldn't be in the dating pool at their age. But I'm like, you realize that dating has no limit. You could be 100-year-old man or 100-year-old woman, and you still look for somebody to love you. You may not can be sexually active, but you still looking for somebody that can be there for you and love you and provide for you. Not provide for you as far as financially, but somebody that you can talk to and have conversations with, and you can spend your time with, because you're in your golden years. And that's all these people want. But y'all look at it as if, oh, this 65-year-old man out here, looking for a woman. Oh, he must got money. He must gonna pay somebody. No, he not looking to be somebody's paid to spoil somebody. He looking for companionship. And now these days, y'all think companionship for elderly people is helping them pay your cell phone bill, helping them pay your light bill, helping you pay your bills, helping you feed your kids and stuff like that. Dude, whatever you was doing before this man came into your life, continue to do it. This man didn't come into your life as a blessing to help you financially. This man came into your life because he's looking for something consistent and lovable. And I say to this, for you young and you YNs that are watching this video, stop with the shaming of the elderly people or the older people. Not even the old elderly people. Stop shaming people over a certain age, and realize you will get this age. And when you get this age, you are going to realize that they're going to be treating you the same way. And it's going to even be even harder when you get, if you're 20, if you're 25 right now, and about 10, 15, 20 years from now, the same thing you was doing to the elderly people at the age of 25, they're going to be doing to you at the age of 30 and 40 in a couple of years from now. And then you're going to start realizing, oh wow, this is how I was treating people. Yes. So what do y'all think about this? Email me, comment at the bottom of this page. And also, of course, email me roundtable305@yahoo.com, because I really want to know, what do people think about dating that over 40? What do people think about dating over 50, dating over 60? Because I think it's you have the right to do it. And it doesn't matter what site you go on. It doesn't matter if you're on a site. I mean, I'm not saying date somebody that, I'm not saying you're 80 years old and you date somebody that's 18 and 19 years old. That's, to me, disgusting. But if you're 40 years old and you're dating somebody 25, or you date somebody 35, and y'all in it for love, who is somebody to stop you from love? And I want to know what y'all think about this. Comment at the bottom of this page. Email me, roundtable305@yahoo.com. What do you think about it? Thank y'all for watching this episode. As always, stay safe, stay blessed, stay hydrated, and I will see you in the next episode. Take care.